Hello.
Hi again. In Ezekiel chapter 8, we've reached verses 15 through 18. This is the chapter where Ezekiel is given a vision of the temple and what's going on inside it, the abominations. And verse 15 starts out this way. Then he said to me, "Have you seen this, O Son of Man? You will see still greater abominations than these." And he brought me into the inner court of the house of the Lord, and behold, at the entrance of the temple of the Lord, between the porch and the altar, were about 25 men, with their backs to the temple of the Lord, and their faces toward the east, worshipping the sun toward the east. Then he said to me, "Have you seen this, O Son of Man? Is it too light a thing for the house of Judah to commit the abominations that they commit here, that they should fill the land with violence and provoke me still further to anger? Behold, they put forth the branch to their nose. Therefore I will act in wrath. My eye will not spare, nor will I have pity. And though they cry in my ears with a loud voice, I will not hear them."
So we're in the Pure Worship book, and their comments on that passage that you just read is Jehovah introduced the fourth and final scene with the now familiar words, "You will see detestable things that are even more terrible than these." Perhaps the prophet wondered, what could be more terrible than the things I have already seen? Ezekiel was now in the inner court of the temple. There at the entrance of the temple, he saw 25 men bowing down to worship the sun in the east. Those men could hardly have found a way to offend Jehovah more deeply. How so? Picture the scene. God's temple was built with the entrance facing east. Worshippers entering the temple would be facing west, with their backs to the rising sun in the east. But the 25 men in the vision turned their backs to the temple and faced east so that they could worship the sun. In so doing, they turned their backs on Jehovah, for that temple was the house of Jehovah. Those 25 men were apostates. They ignored Jehovah, and they violated the command recorded at Deuteronomy 4, verses 15 to 19. How they offended the Lord, who rightly deserves exclusive devotion. What can we learn from the account of those sun worshippers? To keep our worship pure, we must look to Jehovah for spiritual enlightenment. Remember, Jehovah God is a sun, and his word is a light for our path. Through his word and Bible-based publications from his organization, he illuminates our hearts and minds, showing us how to follow a course that leads to a satisfying life now and to everlasting life in the future. If we were to look instead to this world for enlightenment on how to live, we would be turning our backs on Jehovah. Such a course would deeply offend him, causing him much pain of heart. He would never want to do that to our God, or we would never want to do that to our God. Ezekiel's vision is also a warning for us to avoid those who turn their backs on the truth, namely apostates. As we have seen thus far, Ezekiel witnessed 4 shocking scenes of idolatry and false worship that revealed the depth of apostate Judah's spiritual defilement. By becoming spiritually unclean, those Israelites damaged the relationship between the nation and God. But spiritual uncleanness and moral defilement go hand in hand. Not surprisingly, then, the apostate Israelites committed all manner of moral wrongs that undermined not just their relationship with God, but also their relationship with fellow humans. Let us now see how the prophet Ezekiel, under inspiration, described the moral decay of apostate Judah.
The noise you just heard, by the way, was our son trying to get into the house, but
Yeah.
don't worry, we locked him out so we could get this recording done. And he'll stay out until we're finished, right? He's a good boy.
Yes, he is.
So he'll stay on the porch. Just got back from Toronto and a concert that he went to see.
Yeah.
So we won't open the door yet. We'll just discuss this text, which is
Yeah.
I think the big picture here is pulling back from all of these individual abominations and detestable things. You realize, what do they have in common, all these things? The men are standing in front of images of creeping things, the priests inside the temple. Now we're talking about them being sun worshippers. What do these things have in common? Well, the idolatries of the ancient world, the worship of things rather than the one who created the things,
Yeah.
which is the one God.
But I think what's kind of surprising here is that they kind of the Watchtower is making themselves also commit this crime. Right in the paragraph, they indicate that they're committing this crime because, listen to this, it said, through his word and Bible-based publications from his organization, he illuminates our hearts and minds. And then at the end, it says that Ezekiel's vision is also a warning to us to avoid those who turn their backs on truth, namely apostates. So I think that what they've done is they're accusing Israel of idol worship, but they've made themselves an idol to their own people. So now you equate his organization with him.
That's right.
Just like they do with Israel, the nation, and Jehovah.
Yeah.
There's never been this idea that they're pure worshipers. That term itself is not biblical.
Yeah, the idea of being unclean.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, they're always unclean. That's why they offered sacrifices at the temple. And
Exactly.
even before there was a temple, they offered sacrifices.
Yeah.
All to indicate, no, you have a continual need. The fact that you are in a relationship with me does not depend on you being pure worshipers.
Yeah.
Now, they've taken a scripture here, which is Proverbs 11, verse 9, is it not?
That's right.
And this is what they're referring to as apostates. This is how they think of apostates. With his mouth, the godless man would destroy his neighbor, but by knowledge the righteous are delivered.
Mm-hmm.
And that in itself proves the idea that if you turn on org, you've turned on God.
Yeah,
because you're godless. You're
That's
assumed
right.
to be godless.
So it doesn't matter what reason you have for leaving Jehovah's Witnesses, they will say that you're an apostate. You can say, I love Jehovah, I love God,
I love the Bible.
I love the Bible, I read the Bible, I study the Bible, I worship God, I'm obedient to Christ and his words, till you're blue in the face, and you'll be called an apostate because you've left the organization.
So rejecting these men, these 8 or 10 men,
Mm-hmm.
is equivalent to rejecting Christ and Jehovah.
Yeah.
And that makes you an idolater in itself.
So when you look at Ezekiel is a prophet of God. He's going to minister. He's learning about what's happening at the temple, but he's ministering to the nation.
So he's part of apostate Judah,
Yeah.
according to your phraseology.
Yeah. So he's part of it. He's not excluded from it. He's part of it. He's speaking to the nation. He's correcting the nation. He's forewarning them what's going to happen.
So he's serving the apostates, in
Yes.
effect. And,
And
Jeremiah is the same. He's doing the same in Jerusalem.
Yeah.
And Daniel, who's praying for them while he's in exile in Babylon.
Mm-hmm.
And optimistic about their return. In other words, these so-called apostate Judah have a future. You don't think you should pray for apostates if you're a witness. You don't think they have any future at all.
Yeah.
Which makes you, in effect,
You
in effect, you have become the thing you hate.
Mm-hmm.
You say that the reason that Christendom is doomed is because they judge.
Yeah.
And they even kill for the sake of religion. You are doing the same to your families. You're destroying families. You're destroying lives. But somehow you are exempt from this same judgment.
They are still in relationship with God. That's why he continues to raise up prophets and sends them to them.
Generation after generation. I don't have a problem with them saying that the northern kingdom was apostate, but they're using the word very carelessly here. The northern kingdom was apostate. They deliberately separated themselves from what God had already done in Judah. But the southern kingdom is not apostate. You can call them heretical, you can say they're unclean, but what else is new?
Yeah.
The people of Judah, because they are
Yeah.
in a relationship with God, they know how impure their worship is.
Yeah. But you have it that people can actually be pure. And, this is contrary to the Old Testament.
It's
They
delusion.
were never pure. They always needed to confess sins and offer sacrifices for sin.
Every day.
Yeah.
Twice a day.
So we were going to link. Is that what you want? No?
I think so.
The link is XJW Elder David Reed says, beware of organization. And he's quoting Russell. Russell warned this. JWs are apostate from their roots. We don't follow what Russell said, and Russell didn't follow who he first was with.
So that's the true meaning of apostasy. Let's not use it carelessly. Let's use it in the way it's supposed to be used, which is to say Russell rejected his roots.
Yeah.
And now Jehovah's Witnesses have rejected their roots, namely Russell.
Yeah, standing away from, apart from.
A repudiation of. Yeah. See you next time.
Okay.